Hello, everyone. Welcome to Scribe's webinar on how to supercharge your deposition process. We're looking forward to this webinar. My name is Randy Brown. I'm an account executive for Scribe. Just some quick housekeeping items. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A. We'll answer them as quickly as we can. If they require a little more thought, we may follow up via email. In addition, I'll put my email in the chat. So if you'd like to keep the conversation going, or if you have any questions or like a follow-up conversation, I can help facilitate that. Real excited to have both Carl Seelbach and Charles Peckham, our esteemed speakers here. They're attorneys that do a lot of depositions. So we're looking for how they can help us with our own deposition process. So Carl and Charles, over to you.
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate the warm welcome. And so let's just dive right in. 30 minutes isn't that much time for two litigators, as Charles was reminding me before we got started. So Charles, why don't you start with your introduction? I'll briefly do mine.
You bet. So I've been practicing for 34 years, and I'm now mediating almost full time, but still doing quite a few depositions on the cases that I have pending. The only interesting fact that I have is that we're all SEC family, but we don't get along. I'm a Texas Longhorn. My wife is a Sooner, and all three of my kids are Aggies, fighting Texas Aggies.
All right, a house divided. Well, I'm Carl Seelbach. I am a litigator almost 20 years now. I graduated from South Texas in 2006. Time flies when you're having fun. When I am not working at the law firm or syncing up with the team at Scribe, I'm one of the founders of. You'll probably find me at a volleyball court. Both of my daughters play club volleyball. I'm leaving later today for Dallas to go to a volleyball tournament at the convention center. So that's my life now. It's either work or volleyball, but it's a lot of fun. So let's dive in with deposition. So let me just kind of set this up. Charles and I have both taken tons of depositions, hundreds between the two of us easily. And I've always thought the process was outdated. We're using outdated technology to type the transcript. It takes way too long to get it, and it's too expensive. And so when I co-founded Scribe with Tom Irby, we kind of had this premise that we don't need to do it the old-fashioned way, that in 2025, we can use software to do this better, to save our clients money, to speed up the process, and to actually get a better quality record so that we can do a better job for our clients. And so what we ultimately envision here and what we've launched is a solution where video is the official record. And yes, you get a transcript. We're going to go through all that in just a minute and exactly how it works. But we view it as a solution where everything's instantly accessible. You can analyze it with the latest AI tools. You can share it very, very easily, both the video and the transcript. And you can really begin to leverage testimony in a way that you've never done before. And we're going to show you some examples of that today. And so ultimately, what we built and launched about 2 years ago is a testimony intelligence platform. It's a place where you can capture testimony. It's a place where you can upload any other type of testimony or maybe past media files. We'll give some examples later. And get a near instant transcription of it, sync to the video or audio file that you can chat with, that you can clip, that you can share. And so it's really purpose built for litigators and their teams. And we consulted with probably a dozen judges, over 150 litigators, and at least 25 paralegals in developing this. And so one of the big drivers for me, at least, when I started looking at my law firm's invoices was cost. When I finally started adding up, and sometimes the invoices would come in piecemeal, but when I finally started adding up the cost that we were spending on a deposition, it was a lot more than I thought to get a transcript plus a video plus them synced together. And Charles, I know you've talked about this before. If you need it fast, I mean, that can be painful, right?
Absolutely. There's a lot of additional costs for rush
Yeah.
that you don't get here.
And so this comparison, without naming the court reporting agency, this is a real comparison from an invoice that my law firm got. And it took 2 slides to put together because of all of the different charges that were included by the court reporting company. So I'm going to go to the second slide that includes the rest of those charges. And ultimately, you can see that it's over 50% cost savings, depending on how fast you get it. The reason there's a range at the bottom is because the top range accounts for the same speed you would get with Scribe. Same day rough, final transcript within 5 business days. But it's a significant cost savings. I would say it's the #1 reason most of the customers initially come to Scribe. But then when they stick around, it's for other reasons. We're going to go over some of those other reasons. And Charles, I know you're a big proponent as well of the cost saving. We even view it as kind of touches on some ethical issues you and I have talked about in the past.
Absolutely. And of course, ethically, you have a responsibility to your client to do things efficiently and in a cost efficient way. And so if you're spending, 3 times what you need to do a deposition, that's not really cost effective. So there
Yeah.
are some ethical responsibilities there. But Carl,
And
it's funny. I've handled, hundreds and hundreds of depositions, but in the last 5 years, I don't think I've done a single one with a court reporter that I have noticed. Everything's been non-stenographic. And when you talk about cost, the federal rules have had this provision in 30B3 for non-stenographic depositions since 1993, long before the technology caught up to it. But it was for access to justice, and cost savings. And most states have some provision, and I know you have a listing on Scribe's website of those that have specific provisions. Certainly in Texas, where I practice, it's in the law. 203.6 allows non-stenographic recording. And so, I guess logistically the question is, and this is it, I think you have a listing of all the states, but logistically, how do you make that happen? Because some lawyers just aren't familiar with it. And so it's a little bit of education for them. But I would tell you, as a practicing lawyer, to work with the opposing side to try to get stipulations on how these depositions are going to occur. I think in the next slide, I have a federal case where we took non-stenographic depositions. In fact, we used Scribe. And unfortunately, as sometimes happens, we lost the case. The other side asked for costs, and they had brought their own stenographer to each of the non-stenographic depositions and then sought costs for those. And the truth is that the court was correct and found that that was duplicitous. You don't, once the deposition is taken non-stenographically, that's the record. Getting a transcript of it is okay, but the payment by the other side of the court reporter to duplicate the work was not going to be an awardable cost. So I think that was, frankly, telling us that non-stenographic depositions are part of the process these days.
Yeah.
Now,
go ahead.
Carl, do you have anything to add to that? I don't want to celebrate my loss, but that's
no. We don't want to overly emphasize that either. But I think the point is well taken that there's 2 ways to capture testimony, stenographically or non-stenographically. And that is not a new concept. That's been in the rules for decades and decades. Yes. The reason non-stenographic depositions are more powerful today is due to 2 technology changes. One was post-COVID, we started taking depositions online through Zoom or something like Zoom. And so that's kind of paved the way for a new method for attorneys to record depositions themselves using software and using their own laptops. The second reason that non-stenographic is actually getting more and more popular is the quality of AI speech recognition is just, it's easily 10x over the last 5 years. So you're able to achieve such a high quality rough transcript that it minimizes the cost. It reduces the cost to take that and then proofread it with professional transcriptionists to get it up to about a 99% or higher accuracy, which meets or exceeds certified shorthand reporter requirements. So those two advances, the shift to online plus the improved quality of ASR technology, has really paved the way for this.
Yeah, and listen, we've all gotten deposition transcripts from court reporters that are not perfect, but I haven't gotten one from Scribe that hasn't been. So that's just part of it. But how do you go about making the deposition happen? And as everybody knows, you send a deposition notice. The only thing that I would tell you that is different here is that you need to give a little bit more advance notice. In case there's a pushback, you need to give time for opposing counsel to get used to this. And most lawyers these days understand non-stenographic depositions and how they work. But I encourage you to get stipulations with the other side so that there isn't an issue. But give advance notice, give 15, 20, 30 days notice. Also, I would tell them exactly how the deposition is going to occur. that they can bring a court reporter, that the party's attorney is going to be recording it. Like, that's just it. Under the Texas rules, I'm the one recording it, even though Scribe is assisting. And I like what you say here and what we've got here about don't say may, say it will be recorded non-stenographically. You see a lot of deposition notices that say it may be recorded by video means. That's not what we're doing here. This is a non-stenographic deposition. The video is the record. Now, you will get a transcript, but the video is the record.
Yeah, and I'll let me add a couple of follow-up comments to that. One, Scribe is happy to provide a sample notice. So email Randy or email support at Scribe or even Charles or me.
Yeah, you don't have to screenshot this. We've got
we will share the presentation with you, and we'll share the actual Microsoft Word sample deposition notice so you can have kind of a approved template. We work with Scribe works with a national 50-state firm on every jurisdiction's rules and notices, so it's been vetted by national counsel as well. So you should feel very comfortable with that. And then the one other thing that I'll mention that Charles, maybe I skipped over in the prep. Scribe really wants everything to be done pursuant to the rules, and also wants, if there's going to be any arguments, those should take place before the deposition gets underway. So there's one other thing that Scribe does to facilitate these depositions. When the deposition starts, all participants have to acknowledge the terms of service to get into the Zoom room, Scribe's terms of service. And baked into those terms of service, very clear, anybody could read it and understand it, is essentially a stipulation that the parties are going to be doing this non-stenographically pursuant to the rules in their venue. So we also have that baked in to help give you some peace of mind as well.
And really quickly, Carl, Randy dropped in the chat his email. So if there are questions, anybody can email him.
Awesome. And feel free, and I could, I'll mention this again. Randy may mention at the outset. If you have questions, drop them in the chat. We're happy to answer them live, either out loud or with a quick typed answer. You don't have to wait until the end for questions. We're happy to take them. So I'm going to kind of tell you what to expect in a Scribe deposition, and then we're going to get into some demos of how to actually use the tool. So in a Scribe deposition, if you joined a Zoom, which you joined today, you can join a Scribe deposition because we're an official Zoom ISV partner, partnered with Zoom on this. And Scribe will staff the event, the deposition, or we also do EUOs, recorded statements, other things like that. But most of its depositions right now, we staff the event with a notary certified who will swear in the witness, who will assist the attorneys with any technical issues, with presenting exhibits. If they need any help presenting exhibits, we'll collect the exhibits, and then they will help the attorneys facilitate the going on and off record. So really the notary is there as a liaison to make sure that the event goes really, really smoothly, to monitor the sound, takes down spellings of unique names or phrases, similar to how a court reporter would for the post-event transcription process. And also there's a redundant recording method. So, Zoom is the primary recording method being used by the attorneys with their own computers, with their own Zoom software. But Scribe is also doing a backup recording in the event there was a failure of the first one. There never has been, knock on wood, but there is a redundant method here as well. And then after the deposition, so this is again, the deposition itself will feel very familiar to any Zoom deposition you've ever done. It's after the deposition is where you start to notice some bigger differences. One of the main ones is you're going to get something that day. And so we have customers at Scribe who literally will take a deposition in the morning and they'll get it back about an hour later. And over the lunch break, they'll create video clips that they use as exhibits in the afternoon deposition of a different witness in the same case. And so you can do that. We're going to show you how to create those clips in just a second, but you'll get same day access to your rough transcript, sync to the video. There's a lot of powerful tools that allow you to clip, create playlist, AI chat with it, and then a final transcript within 5 days. We also provide a certification that everything's done pursuant to the non-stenographic rules. So if you need to file that with the court, you have that. And here's
let me add in right there. I was in trial about 6 months ago on a Thursday afternoon. There was a brand new witness. We objected. The court said, you're going to take that person's deposition at 10 tomorrow morning here in my jury room, and then we're going to talk about it at noon. So I enlisted Scribe, explained the situation. We took the deposition for an hour, and I had a full transcript, a full transcript at noon that we could put in front of the judge to discuss what had happened. I mean, that's pretty quick.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've done something similar in an arbitration where we had an arbitration starting on a Monday or Tuesday, and the arbitrator approved some last minute depositions that we took on a Friday, but we had used Scribe for those, so we got everything back really, really quick. So the speed's a big part of this. This is an example of a transcript. So again, legally formatted, just like you're used to seeing, with all the Q's and A's and the participants, and there's a table of contents page listing exhibits, appearances, all the things you're used to seeing, you will see in your final transcript. But the bonus is you get it within 5 business days for no extra cost, no rush fees. You can rush it even faster if you need to. It's very rare. Usually within 5 business days is sufficient. But if you need it faster, we can rush it, within as fast as 24 hours. So I want to go through a couple of demos and show you same day you're done with the deposition, or if you upload a past deposition. So you can use this as your deposition hub for all of your depositions that are taken in the case, even those taken by opposing counsel. You just need to get a copy of the video so you can upload it into Scribe. Very simple to do. So once you have it in Scribe, whether it's a deposition or a body cam recording or a 911 call, whatever it is, this is kind of what it looks like. And I'm going to show you an example of making a clip and also adding that clip to a playlist of multi-clips. So if you can highlight the text, you can create a clip. That's it. You highlight the text.
When you're doing research, distance, I believe you said for Harvard and Yale, is that correct? Yes. When you were
And so once you've created the clip, you can rename the clip very easily. And then after you've renamed it, you can download that clip by clicking the download button, which will initiate a download, or you can share it with the URL by clicking the little URL link button. And then you can add it to a playlist. If you create a playlist, I have one called Expert Qualifications. So I'm going to add 2 clips to that and show you, there's the download that we just did. I'm going to show you the playlist feature. We'll add it to the playlist and then show you how there's 2 clips added to that playlist for Expert Qualifications. So that's the bottom one there.
When you're doing research, like you're a research assistant.
And then I can switch the order if I want to change the sequence. Just drag and drop, super easy.
I'm a human factors consultant.
And what does that mean?
So it makes it really, really easy. And then you can download that entire playlist, which will stitch all those clips together, or you can copy that share link to your clipboard to share it like you and I would share a YouTube video or something like that. So it really makes clip creation something that you no longer need to outsource to an expensive vendor. You no longer need to mark up a transcript only to hand it off to someone else on your team. You can just review it in real time and create those clips and playlists as you're working with the content. And you can do it the same day you took the deposition while it's still fresh on your mind. So let me show you the next. I want to show you how to share them. So that's one of the big features here. One of the things that makes it easy to use video in ways that maybe you've never done before. Historically, video was always kind of difficult and bulky file size. It kind of made it hard to work with it, even though sometimes you wanted to. It'd be something you'd wait until trial because it was such a pain in the neck that you didn't want to have to hassle with it. I'm going to show you how you can start to use it in ways that maybe you never thought about before. And so the first example here.
What do the words on the wet floor cone say?
Caution wet floor.
So once you click that URL copy button, the recipient of that gets this experience. They don't need a Scribe account.
What do the words on the wet floor cone say?
Caution wet floor.
And you can go full screen if you need to as the viewer and pop it up full screen.
Can you explain to the jury, to the extent it needs to be explained, what?
And so it just makes it really, really simple to share those clips. Anybody can view the clip like that. They don't need an account. And you can do the same thing with the playlist. So we'll share this playlist of the multiple clips, and I'll show you what that looks like.
I'm a human factors consultant.
And what does that mean or involve?
So human factors is a scientific discipline aimed at understanding human capabilities and limitations and how those kind of shape our interactions with the environment. So we look at things like perception, cognition, and behavior when we approach accidents.
And you'll
When you're
notice
doing
the
research,
status bar on the top left.
like you're a research assistant, I believe you.
So it kind of shows you the progress as someone's viewing. If you had multiple clips, we have attorneys kind of use this to create some of their clips for mediations and things like that. We'll talk about that in just a minute.
What do the words on the wet floor
So let me go over some sample use cases, and maybe we start with that. Charles, you mediate yourself, and I'm going to get into some other examples. I've got some slides put together. Talk to us about how you view clips when you get them, in a mediation position statement or something like that.
Sure, Carl, that's easy. The best results in mediation are typically by lawyers who show that they are adequately prepared, they know what's happening in the case, and they're ready to go to trial effectively. So when I see as a mediator clips like this in a mediation statement or that are played in an open, it tells me, and it tells the other side, that their case has value either from the plaintiff side or the defense side. So it reinforces that counsel is ready to go to trial, that counsel is prepared.
Yeah, that's well said. I'm just going to breeze through a few of these. I really just want to get your wheels turning on ways you can begin to leverage video testimony and video evidence. So this is a page line designation from a deposition that had taken place years earlier. We uploaded the video into Scribe and we're able to make our page line designation interactive so that when the arbitrator clicked the video button over on the left, it would open up his browser and play the corresponding video clip. So really impressive way the key video clips for the arbitrator. This is another example, like you can finish a deposition in the morning and by the afternoon, you can be updating the partner you work with, the client you work for, an expert who needs to know about something that happened, and you can actually put video clips directly into your emails. This is a real example, which is why it's redacted, of some good testimony that one of my team members got using Scribe. And then briefing. This is an excerpt from an actual motion for summary judgment that was filed in Dallas County District Court. We've gotten some really great feedback from judges about this feature. And here's the perspective that they shared. When parties cite testimony, they often either, I won't say mislead, but they'll maybe bend it to how the angle that they want, right? Or they'll just cite to it, and then the judge has to go dig into the exhibits, find the multi-hundred-page transcript, find the page to make sure that the judge, he or she, is understanding the testimony in the context that it was cited and that it was cited accurately. What the judges have told us about this feature where you embed the video into your brief using the link is it allows them to just kick back and watch a playlist of the key video segments and hear the witnesses in their own words. It doesn't mean you shouldn't attach the transcript. You should attach the transcript, but adding the video can really make your briefs more persuasive. And so let me show you a demo. I want to get into the AI chat because I know everyone is really interested in an AI and how to work with it. So I want to give you a couple of examples, and then Charles, don't let me forget, after we do the examples, we'll talk a little bit about security and privacy as well.
Excellent.
All right, so on this first example, we're going to this is a common use case here. I actually use it at my firm a lot because a lot of depositions take place where maybe I didn't take the deposition. One of my colleagues took the deposition. So I just need to hop in and figure out the key questions in my head. And so that's probably one of the best use cases is just getting a quick answer. So here's an example of that. We're just gonna ask the chat, what did this expert say? What was ultimately this expert's opinion on whether the warning cone was a sufficient warning? And so we'll just prompt the AI. It then analyzes the entire deposition, start to finish, and rather intelligently puts together a response that includes not only an answer to the question, and here it's answering the question, okay, just finished, but it also includes a video clip.
In your expert opinion, was this an adequate warning?
Yes.
So,
Objection one.
and you can then save that clip to your clip list or playlist.
In your expert opinion, was this an adequate warning?
Yes.
So it's just a real way to get answers and have confidence that the answers are accurate because it's referencing back to the testimony. And you could even use this to create all your video go into a deposition and just prompt it and say, hey, would you create video clips for me of every time this witness talked about issue Y? And it would go in and give you a summary of the content and then provide video clips of places where that witness testified on a particular issue. So it's a really, really quick and easy way to work with the video. And then, of course, summaries. There are a lot of companies out there now offering in the last, I guess, 6 months or so, summaries of depositions. Some of them are very good, but they're also very, very, very lengthy, like 50+ pages summary of a deposition. And I don't know about you, but I don't necessarily want to read that. And I have clients who would probably be frustrated if I sent them a 50-page summary. So we're approaching it a little bit differently. And I want to show you kind of how summaries work within Scribe and how you can actually personalize it to exactly what you want. So here's an example of the built-in summary tool. So if you hit the button at the bottom, it will generate an executive summary, style summary that really hits the key points. What did the witness talk about? What are some of the opinions that were heard or issues that were discussed? What are some of the strengths and weaknesses of this witness's testimony? And of course, it will create video clips as well.
Sure. So first, I reviewed the video so I could get a general understanding.
So it's a very, very quick, and then I can copy the text. If I need to copy the text, there's a copy button down at the bottom that will copy all of the text onto the computer's clipboard. And then you could paste that into an email, into Microsoft Word, whatever you need.
Carl, I've got that question for you now, and it has to do with lots of cases have trade secret, HIPAA related information things. And most people understand that AI learns, and so this stuff can end up public. Is that what's happening here?
Yeah, that's a great question. So no, not at all. We've designed this with privacy in mind. Anything you submit to the AI chat, first of all, large language model is only used for the AI chat. It's not used for creation of the transcript. So you don't have to use the AI chat, but it's very powerful and it's built with security and privacy in mind. When you submit something to chat, none of it's being saved. None of it's being used to train the model. Your prompts are not even being saved to the system. So we have an enterprise API license with OpenAI. That's who we currently use, although we do test others from time to time internally. But OpenAI is currently the one that we leverage through an enterprise license with a lot of privacy protections baked into it. And so they are not storing the data. We are not storing it. They're not training on it. We are not training on it. And if you want a more technical answer, we have the senior engineer on the team or the head of product could get you a more technical answer as well.
Thanks, Carl.
Yeah. And so one of the things I really appreciate about the way the Scribe team approached this is I don't believe deposition summaries are ever a one-size-fits-all situation. You should be able to get what you need or what you want and nothing more and nothing less. And so this next example I want to show you, you could do with any prompt that you come up with. Your client may have a preferred format that they want things in. Your team or your partner or whoever, someone may have a preferred format that you want something in. But this is an example. So on the screen here, this is just Microsoft Word. I've created kind of, hey, here is my preferred format for this deposition summary. I want you to draft it, but I want you to draft it like this. And so here's kind of how this works. I'm just going to copy and paste, and I'm happy to share prompts with you. If you need ideas, just shoot me an email. I have a whole internal library of prompts, but you just paste them into the AI chat in Scribe, and you'll see here, I just pasted it in, and then it takes a few seconds, but we'll scroll down and we'll see, okay, there's the prompt that I gave it, copied from Microsoft Word. And within a few seconds, it's going to give me the summary that I wanted in the format I wanted, touching on the issues that I wanted, no more, no less. And it could be longer. If you need a more detailed summary, you can tell it to do an extremely detailed summary. And then I also get those video clips as well. So it's a really quick and easy way to work with deposition content or any other media files that you've uploaded. There's some other use cases. We don't have time to demo them all. We want to be respectful of your time. It's been 30 minutes and we definitely want to have some time for Q&A as well. But Charles, why don't you touch on a few of these? I know you've used a couple of these and I have as well.
I have, and what's nice is to be able to take a deposition and have the AI feature help generate requests for production for future depositions, for future discovery, and it'll also help you in next in depositions later in the case. What things do I need to ask this next witness who's going to be testifying about such and such, or this is their position?
Yeah.
Um,
And I've used
outlines
it.
too.
I've used it for outlining. Post-depo discovery is a common one. It'll just be like, hey, based on the testimony of this deposition,
What else do we need?
what else do we need to ask for in discovery, draft sample, RFPs, sample logs, whatever it may be. I use it a lot to score the performance of the witness, and I will score the performance of the attorney who took the deposition. And I do it as a way to figure out if anything was missed, but also as a way to provide me with some coaching ideas as I'm trying to coach and mentor associate attorneys on how to take better depositions. Of course, I have my own ideas for them as well, but this does sometimes really surface maybe they didn't think about, places where they didn't close the loop. And it provides a helpful tool to take a deposition transcript and video, analyze it, and help prepare that same witness for trial, and identifying places where maybe they could have been more clear, or they came across as a little bit uncertain or unsure. So it can be a very helpful tool for witness prep. And Charles, I know you had another recent use case that you and I just talked about.
Absolutely. If you can prompt to ask questions, why not prompt to ask questions that are coming from a jury charge? You know, tell me where in the deposition that this witness discussed the elements of, and then you can insert the jury charge. You get it for that particular witness, and you can do it for each witness. That helps you prepare for trial.
Yeah, that's great feedback. And again, we are happy to share prompts. If you have a certain use case you're wondering about, or a certain feature you're thinking of, I wonder if it can do this, I wonder if they do that, just shoot us a message. And in fact, we'd love to connect on LinkedIn. Charles and I are both on LinkedIn. It's a great place to kind of stay in touch with each other, or shoot us an email as well. And also just give you an idea of kind of the stage of Scribe. This isn't brand new. We've now done almost 2,000 depositions across 25 states and have processed almost 5,000 hours of deposition and testimony media. And attorneys have been sharing clips, like wildfire. It's really fun to see the clips being shared, and some of the folks on the screen are some of the happy customers and advocates who believe in what we're doing and use us, along with about 700 other customers and counting. So you're in good company. And we're certainly happy that you attended the webinar. If you want to follow the journey, Scribe's journey, we are going to take Q&A. If anyone has any questions, feel free to chat. Now would be the perfect time. Follow Scribe's journey, the QR code on the screen, take a picture or scan it with your phone. That will take you to Scribe's LinkedIn, where you can just follow the company and you'll get updates for everything. There was one question here about email. Absolutely. I'm going to answer that. It says answer live. I meant to answer in writing. So I will say it out loud. My email, the easiest, shortest one, I'll give you the shortest one. Carl with a K, K-A-R-L, @scribe.ai, SKRIBE.ai. You can shoot me an email or reach out to Scribe support. They can connect you with me either way. Any other questions?
Let's see.
Looks like one was answered by Randy.
Cost comparison.
And let's see, how does the cost compare? I'm going to answer that briefly and answer Larry's question as well. I'll take these two questions in sequence. So the first one, I'm going to rapidly, so don't let your eyes get too dizzy. I'm going to try to rewind here all the way back to the cost.
And by the way, while you're talking about that, I'll talk about the page and line reference, and the answer is yes. When the transcript comes, it will have page and line references, the final transcript. When you get
and let me answer that question with regard to the app, because I do want to be very clear on one thing. So Larry asked a great question about page and line references. The transcripts, the final transcripts that are available as a PDF, Word, or text file, absolutely have page and line references like you're used to seeing. The web app doesn't have it yet, but will. That's very high on the feature request list to add page and line. Right now it references the video runtime, right? Hour, minute, second. But it will happen in the future. We know that's a very commonly requested feature, and it's high on our priority list.
cost comparison. I'm sorry, Carl.
Cost comparison. So cost comparison, I'm going to show it on the screen. I'm going to give a caveat, because sometimes people hear what the price is for Scribe and they think, well, I don't know that I'm saving that much. What depends on what you're comparing it to. If all you're getting is a copy of a transcript and you're the copy attorney, then yeah, it probably doesn't cost you much more than what Scribe charges. But if you are a scheduling attorney, getting a video, getting it synced, getting a transcript faster than 3 or 4 weeks, the cost savings are pretty significant. And so up on the screen, I'll go to the next page, is kind of how it breaks down at the bottom line there. We say it's at least a 50% cost savings. It can be more. And this slide, of course, shows it even more because it includes some extra things, right? Getting the transcript within 5 days. Usually that's a 50% upcharge by most court reporting agencies. Getting a rough draft the same day. All of those things really, really add up if you're comparing what you get with Scribe versus what you get with the court reporting agency. So I would say if you get everything the slow way, don't get it synced, you're probably saving at least 50%. If you get everything rushed, you're saving more like probably 70%, if I had to guess, something like that.
That's probably about right, Carl. Hey, there was another question about a specific jurisdiction, California.
Yeah, California. So California does require stipulations in state court. In federal court, you're good to go anywhere in the nation in federal court. In California, it requires stipulations. We will facilitate those. We will provide sample stipulations. And we will even incentivize it with opposing counsel. You can reach out to Randy. He can provide some details on how we incentivize it. Stipulations are quite common. We do them regularly, and we provide a sample. But great question. And I will say the rules are changing in many states. California has called I've seen news reports coming out of California. They called it a crisis because of the court reporter shortage in California at the court levels. So I would expect the rules to modernize. It just doesn't always happen.
And Carl, on the website, there's a list of the different jurisdictions and what the rules are in each. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. And almost every one of them is on there. We've almost got all 50 states. We kind of take them when we get demand, when we get a question. So if for some reason you're in a venue that you don't see on the website, just email support and we will have outside counsel quickly analyze it, add the rules to the website. We may be missing 2 or 3, but most of the big ones are on there. Any other questions?
I don't see any, Carl.
All right. Well, to those of you who asked questions, thank you. For those of you who attended, we appreciate you taking a little time out of your lunch break to listen to Charles and me. Randy, I know that you're still there. Did you want to add a few words to close?
No, thank you, Carl. Thank you, Charles. This webinar will be on demand, so be looking for that. If you have any questions that pop up in the middle of the night, feel free to email myself or Carl, and we're happy you attended. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Randy, thanks for having us.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.